Jesus, baby. Time to get real. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host. That's right. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist, Inner Peace Practitioner, Oracle, but most importantly, a student, an ongoing, never ending, it's never over a student, always learning, always practicing. Happiness specialist. Who the hell does she think she is? Oh, and by the way, let me just do this right now. Let me just post this in the chat. I welcome questions. How about that? Welcome all questions. Yes. So I'm streaming live on my YouTube channel if you want to see me live, also on Blog Talk Radio. If you want to call in and speak with me live, the number is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. Also on Noom Vibe, if you want to join the show, just ask to join the stage. You know how we do it. Topic today. But before I get into the topic, let me just give a brief introduction. There's some people, I don't understand it, that's never listened to the show before. Reality Spirituality Radio is always about the same thing. It's the same topic. How to experience more happiness. How to experience more happiness on this journey we call life. And the experiencing the let me back up. To be very clear, when I say happiness, don't think about the word. Think about the energy. Think about the vibration, the energy of contentment, the energy of peace, the energy, the feeling of balance, navigating through this world with your shoulders down. You're relaxed. You surrender to whatever is on your path, because you know that there is a divine plan in order, or not. Now, let me just back up a little bit. When I say happiness, the good news is, just like any other practice, happiness is a practice skill. And all I've been doing is practicing and practicing and practicing for the last 45 plus years. When I was younger, I've told the story a million times. When I was younger, you remember blowing the candles out on your birthday cake and making a wish. Well, I wished for the same two things. I wanted to live to my potential, and I had no idea what that meant. I had no vision, just live to my potential. And I do remember saying or thinking to myself, thinking that if I was able to, if I'm able, and I didn't say change one life, but how about this? Change one perspective. Change a perspective, because if you want to give me a compliment, it's, wow, Rebecca, I've never thought about it like that before. And that's all I'm here to do, is offer different perspectives that I have found and I have discovered that adds to the experience of feeling the vibration, the energy of contentment. And the latest book, hold on a second. Of course, I have it right here. The latest book, I'm holding it up. By the way, if you want to see me live on YouTube, it's on my YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington. Also, Blog Talk Radio. If you want to call in and ask a question, the number is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. And if you are on Vibe, or what is it? Noom Vibe, just ask to join the show. The latest book Program for Unhappiness. It's out on Amazon, on Lulu, on Barnes and Noble. It's on a few other sites, but that's enough. And in this book, I list 56 program behaviors that have been proven, different levels, level 1, level 2, level 3, to subtract from a person's happiness. Simple. It's either you're vibrating an energy of satisfaction in any moment, or you're vibrating an energy of dissatisfaction. It's just that simple. And each, when I talk about the present moment, how important it is to practice, not to say that I haven't mastered, but how important it is to practice living in the present moment. And I cannot wait to get into that. But before I do a little bit more introduction, I have people finding me all over the world, and welcome to this world. Welcome to my world. What I want to share is usually, well, let me scratch that. I've been teaching the Truth About Happiness classes for over 15 years. I taught the classes in Arcadia, California, in Roseburg, Oregon, and now in Las Vegas. And it always comes down to the same thing. After 15 years, it comes down to how important, how much an individual values emitting an energy of contentment. The world doesn't teach be at peace, be content. The world not only teaches, sells dissatisfaction. And it's not about not doing anything, because inspired action happens all the time, but it is, what is your foundation? What are you rooted in? Where is your temperature gauge set? And it comes down to, and what I've discovered after all these years is, yeah, people, when I say you want to be happier, everybody's raising their hand, everybody's enrolling in the classes. I have so many people enrolling in the classes, and then by the end of the 10 weeks, guess what? Only a handful are left. And it's not because of me. Or is it? Well, the truth is, when I ask if you want to experience more happiness, everyone's raising their hand. Yeah, me. But when I share what the practice is and the solution, and because I'm a what's the problem, what's the solution kind of girl. And the solution is always, it's the same. Oh, it's horrible. It is. Let me ask you this question. If I said I have the answer to all of your problems, all of your challenges, all of your angst, all of your anxiety, all of your stress for the rest of your life, would you want to know the answer? Well, I'm holding it up. Hold on a second. I'm holding it up now if you're watching me on YouTube. It's a mirror. All of the solutions, all of the practice is done in the mirror. And in the mirror, there is no room for anyone else. Not only anyone else, no circumstances. It's not about your circumstances. It's not about all the stories that continue to find a reason for why I'm feeling a certain way. And the practice is, when I say 56 program behaviors, one of the practices is letting go of the stories. And one of the main practices is being mindful, knowing the difference between who you are, meaning your higher self, and your human person ego self. That is a big, that is huge. The practice is knowing the difference. But let me just go back to a little bit of introduction. When I say committed to valuing contentment, I don't know I don't know of any contentment awards or inner peace awards or the happiest individual awards. Not that we need awards, but Does the world practice, scratch the practice, does the world value the ability to feel an energy of contentment, regardless of what's happening? There's a famous study. It's called The Five Most Common Regrets of the Dying. And this study was done by a hospice nurse. You can Google it. And I always share this at the beginning of the show. The five most common regrets of the dying are: number one, I mean, isn't that, can you imagine having a few days left, weeks left, months left? And in fact, I've told this story before, but when I was living in Roseburg, Oregon, I had two friends simultaneously within maybe a month of each other. Now I'm getting chills. Within a month of each other, get a diagnosis of you have 6 months left to live. Again, if you want to speak with me live, the number to call in is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. And if you want to speak with me live or join the stage or join the conversation, you know what to do if you're on Noom Vibe, and welcome. So getting back to my two friends, and one was a woman and she had brain cancer, and they, inoperable. She had a few months left to live. And the other one was prostate cancer. And of course, they both went through all of the treatment, all of the radiation, everything. And then finally, they were given this diagnosis. There's something about, this is my perspective. There's something about knowing that I have a certain amount of time left. All I'm going to be able to come up with is the truth, which is the truth about a regret. And so getting back to the 5 regrets of the dying. Number 1, I wish I would have pursued my dreams and aspirations and not the life others expected of me. I wish I would have pursued my dreams and aspirations and not the life others expected of me. Number 2, I wish I didn't work so hard. I have it's if I hear the work hard, work hard, work hard and reap the rewards one more time, it's the concept of working hard right there is a program. I'm not saying to work. I'm not saying, scratch that. I'm not saying not to work, but I'm saying gotta work hard to achieve my dreams. It's an entire program. You will achieve whatever you are intended to, destined to achieve on this planet. And the belief that, the program that working hard equals, do fish have to work hard to swim? Do birds have to work hard to fly? So so what I'm saying is, innately you have an innate way to feel and be inspired. And let me just speak for myself. My practice is to trust trust the inspiration, even if I'm waiting a week, 2 weeks, a month, or even a year. If I'm not inspired, it's not time. That's just my practice. I know I get a lot of flack. I don't have any friends, and I know why. And now you know why too. So number 2, I wish I didn't work so hard. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. Number 4, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I always put a sorry to the study, but there, sometimes we just outgrow people. There's nothing wrong with them, nothing wrong with you, but it's just time to experience or not experience this person. If someone's in my life, there's a reason for it. And if they're not in my life, there's a reason for that too. Am I gonna, is my ego gonna try to figure out why? Absolutely yes. But no, there's no story to it. When it's time, it's time. And the last regret of the dying is, I wish I would have let myself be happier. And that's all I'm doing here is sharing with as many as are inspired to listen how to eliminate 50. I'm up to 56 program behaviors. 56. That's a lot. How to eliminate one by one, or maybe even five at a time program behaviors. Now let me get back. Let me go to our topic. The topic today is is my main practice these days. I'm 68 years old. Did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. 68 years old. And huh, what I've discovered that this living in the present moment is all is all is everything. Well, scratch the everything, is a lot. How's that? Never making absolutes. Is mandatory to experience more contentment. And let me give you a perfect example. I couldn't believe this. And the ego is so tricky. My ego is so tricky. Sometimes it's got so many different identities, and it's so custom to Rebecca L. Norrington, that person. It's so custom. It knows exactly what carrot to put in front of my face. It knows exactly what to get me, what it takes to get me to bite. You understand? So this identity, this Rebecca L. Norrington identity, the practice is to let go of it. I'm not identifying with a person. I'm not identifying with that person, especially that program person that acts, I mean, immediately without even a second or a moment to even think the reaction. So either I'm responding to life or I'm reacting to life. And I know that when I'm reacting to life, that reaction is a program. When I'm responding, that's a conscious awareness. There's a big difference. So let me tell you what happened. And all because of a piece of carrot cake. That's right. You heard me. A piece of carrot cake. Oh, the lessons just come and go and come and go. And this one came in a disguise. It's not a disguise. Well, it was a disguise. Who knew that carrot cake would come up, would be able to give me a spiritual lesson? Come on now. There is a restaurant that I frequent. It's in town. It's called Blueberry Hill, and it's nostalgia. It's nostalgic. Here's a story. Here's the background story. It's nostalgic. When my parents were alive, they loved going here. It's called Blueberry Hill, and there's a couple of them. And it's a cafe, and they have senior rates. I'm a senior now. There was a time, oh my gosh, I'm a senior. Oh no, no. Now I'm a senior now. Where are the senior rates? Boopity boop boop, senior rates. So there's a senior section on the menu, and you can get breakfast, you can have lunch, you can have dinner at certain times. And so with the senior dinner, listen to this. With the senior dinner, I get a drink, whether it's coffee or soda, but it's usually black coffee, a drink. I get a salad, and with what I usually order is this roasted turkey dinner, which I get white and dark meat, steamed vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, mashed potatoes, and dressing. The dressing's a little salty, and it's not my mother's dressing, but sometimes when you want dressing, any dressing will do. Mashed potato, gravy, and with that meal, with the senior special, you get to choose a dessert. Well, I always choose the same carrot cake. And I know the whole thing about with sugar and cutting out sugar. I get it. And there, I go through stages. Sometimes I'm really good, and sometimes I just need my slice of carrot cake. Oh, okay. Oh, carrot cake. Okay, back to the carrot cake. And so the first time one of the times when I just discovered this, the senior meal with the dessert carrot cake, I got a huge slice of carrot cake and I was happy, took it home, ate it later. The next time I went in a few days later to get my senior lunch dinner, with the drink, with the salad, with the turkey and the mashed potatoes and the dressing and the steamed vegetables and the slice of carrot cake to take home. Well, when I got home and I noticed that the slice of carrot cake was a lot smaller, significantly smaller than the first time I was given a slice of carrot cake. Now, instantly, remember I said earlier about reacting versus responding? Instantly, my ego was dissatisfied. My ego is dissatisfied when it compares, when it has a preference, when it has expectations. I mean, it is a ball of discontentment. So now I'm looking at this smaller than usual, and mind you, I only had one shot at getting another. It was only one time getting carrot cake. Smaller than usual carrot cake, slice of carrot cake, and I was, the ego, the Rebecca L. Norrington was bothered to the point that, listen to this, to the point that the next time I went in, I don't know, a few days later or a week later, I mentioned it in a very nice happiness specialist way. Because now I'm a regular, and they regular, but when the same waiter knows you, you're a regular. Anyway, so I was talking to this other waiter and I said, I was in here a couple of days ago and I usually get the carrot cake to go. And this time the slice was really small. Why was that? Do you hear all of this? And the waiter was really nice and he said to me, yes, they're cracking down on us slicing the cake too large. We're getting reprimanded for giving too big a slices of cake. And I'm telling you, those slices of cake were huge. Again, if you want to speak with me live, the number to call in is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. And if you want to speak with me on Noom Vibe, just ask to join the stage. Please, I welcome all comments, all questions. And I'm live on YouTube too, on my YouTube channel. Okay, back to the carrot cake story. Telling this waiter, and I said it was small. He says, don't worry about it. He says, yeah, that they've been cracking down. He says, I will make sure to give you a large slice of carrot cake today. Now, the ego, notice the difference. The ego was very satisfied with that. Okay, great, bigger slice of carrot cake. And in fact, when I got home, guess what? There were 2 slices of carrot cake inside the bag. Boy, oh boy, was that ego happy. The point is, and I do have a point. The point is, the only reason why I'm dissatisfied, I'm comparing, I have expectations, is because I'm not in the present moment. What? All of the comparing the carrot cake is from the past. The ego, the mind, lower consciousness, whatever term, you know what I'm talking about, that voice that never shuts up, that the stories, the thoughts that never ever end. That voice, that constant voice that is on me as soon as I wake up, that voice is only living out the past. The if I was in a present moment, remember the movie, what is, okay, hold on. Oh, Groundhog Day. And Bill Murray had to relive every day, every single day, over and over and over again. And the same things happen. But the difference is Bill Murray knew that he was reliving the same day over and over and over again. This practicing living in the present moment, when the practice is scratch the done correctly, when I am in the present moment, there is nothing to compare. I'm not comparing yesterday's carrot cake with today's carrot cake. I'm not comparing the size of a slice of cake from yesterday to today. Oh, the size is will be okay if I wasn't in the past. You follow me? So the ego not only brings up the past, it is about the past and or the future. But today we're talking about staying and remaining in the present moment. And the ego's job, my son was challenging me, saying that you condemn the ego. It's not about condemning. It's about knowing the audience, knowing what the ego, what its job is. And that is anything to keep me out of the present moment. Any story, any thought, any activity. Oh, now the slice of cake is smaller. I'm in the past. Can you imagine? Can you imagine every moment being new, without a judgment, without a comparison, without an expectation of how something should be or should look like? And I don't use the word should, but I needed to use it on this particular, what it should look like. And that's another ego word, should. You can feel the energetic vibration of each word. And so, backing up to words being powerful, the energy behind the word is where the power is. But let me get back to the topic of living and the importance of living in the present moment. Any complaint, sadness, regret, loneliness is due to this ego giving me a story about the past or giving me a story about the future. It is never in the present moment. I said it already, but I've got to stress it. The ego only is only about anything but the present moment. Anything but. There would be no poo-pooing or complaining or comparing a size of carrot cake if I was in the present moment. Any size would have been fine. And the awareness, practicing the awareness to know and stay on it. And see, this practice, you can't, I mean, you can jump off the horse, but this practice is on the horse, a bucking bronco. It bucks me off a couple of times, but get right back on it. It is a practice. And how do I practice living in the present moment? How do there's a lot of different strategies. One of my practices is, because the ego will take me out with the story. It is all consuming. Not only, what did I call it? It's the ultimate takeover. The ego is the ultimate takeover. And the practice of knowing, especially being aware of which entity is behind the wheel, which entity is driving, which entity has the steering wheel, which entity is behind the wheel. And the ego is just, it can't disguise itself anymore. And in fact, I don't know about your ego, but my ego can even split into different personalities and then go back and forth with itself. You follow me? My ego is so tricky. It can go back and forth and have a discussion with itself, but it's still all ego. And the entertaining, scratch that. When I'm entertaining the argument back and forth with itself, that's just another way of taking me out of the present moment. This trying to this thinking, I'm thinking, or I'm trying to come up with a solution to a future moment. The solutions to future moments, and I'm talking about personal, I'm talking for myself, is found in the moment. Well, I'll give you an example. So I used to do this, preparing strategies and knowing the audience. And if I'll just say this: when my mother was alive, it was already knowing what she's going to say about watching the news or lack of watching the news. It's when you know your audience, it's easier to strategize for peace. And I've given this example. So when my mother, both my parents used to love to watch the news. Oh, the news was on when you walked in the door. It was never any music on. It was the news. The news was the background noise. And anyway, but there was a time when I stopped watching the news decades ago. I stopped watching the news. And this really bothered my mother. And she says, well, you don't know what's going on in the world. You have to watch the news. And that went back and forth for a long time, probably years, to the point where I found a strategy, which is lying. That's right, lying to create peace. And so when my mother would ask me, did I watch the news? I would just say, yes, I watched the news. Yes. And then it was all over. I mean, there was no discussion. Well, what did you watch? No, it was, yes, I watched it, and it was over. So see, that's a strategy. And yes, I do not condone. I do encourage the lying for peace. Yeah, that's right. You see why I don't have any friends? Anyway, back to the point of living in the present moment. The present moment, the importance of the present moment cannot be over talked about. I know that over talked about. I could have phrased that a little differently, but I'm already on my next thought, which is looking in the mirror. Looking in the mirror, can you? And again, lying for peace, but not lying to self. It's okay in my world. It's okay to lie. Yes, I'm watching the news, and I'm not watching the news for peace. But lying to myself, I don't. At least the practice is not to. And when I say that the ego goes back and forth with itself and disguises itself, it can even disguise into 3 to 4, even more entities that will have me caught up in a place where I find out, well, I got to snap out of this deep thought, snap out of the ongoing circle around and around and around and around. See, that's entertainment for the ego. And let me share this. Without me, and you too, without me giving the ego attention, or saying yes, identifying with it it's impossible for it to live. It's impossible for the ego to live unless I'm feeding it and identifying with whatever its story and its thoughts are. And remember, its stories and its thoughts are either in the past or the future. It's never going to tell me, wow, look at all the wonder and the magic and the curiosity and the excitement and the richness of the present moment. Oh, the rich, how rich this present moment feels. The ego is not going to jump on that train. And if you practice the awareness in every single moment, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I could get up and get in, and I call it either living in my head, because the stories and the thoughts are never ending, living in my head, or living in the present, in the presence, and being presence. Not being the ego, not identifying with the ego, identifying with presence. So ask yourself, ask the question, is this a problem for my ego, or is this a problem for my presence? It's just knowing the difference all the time. And there's times that the ego pops out, and especially if I'm not consciously monitoring words, sometimes the ego will pop out. I mean, I was hanging out with some people yesterday, and my ego was popping out left and right from time to time. But it's just recognizing and knowing when it does, and making a choice as to give it, and making a choice of how much power you want to give it. So the present moment is the only place where life happens. Life happens. Anyone want to speak with me live on Noom Vibe? Join the stage. Any of you. Come on. I'm nice. I'm not gonna bite. Again, if you want to call in and speak with me live, the number is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. I'm live on YouTube, my YouTube channel. Okay, let's get back to the present moment a little bit more. Getting back to the carrot cake, I would have never noticed, recognized, focused on the difference of a size of a piece of carrot cake if I wasn't in the past. If I was, it was, in other words, it was my ego that recognized that. It's the ego that recognizes everything that's wrong in the present moment. The ego recognizes everything that is off, everything that is the ego, and the contentment is the ego's kryptonite. Peace is the ego's poison. Happiness, the energy, the vibration of happiness, joy, all of it is the same vibration. If you ask me, forget the words. What is the vibration? What is the energy? They're all in the same family. That's why you see the words, practice not getting stuck on a word, but noticing the energy. The other thing about living in the present moment, the importance of living in the present moment, is when okay, let me just give you another example. If I'm driving and someone, cuts me off, or road rage, or okay, here we go. Scratch that. Scratch all of that. Scratch all of that. Another analogy. Water takes on the shape of whatever it's poured into, whether it's poured into a pot, whether it's poured into a glass, a mug, a bucket. The water takes on the shape of whatever it's poured into. Now, taking it a little bit further, let's just take a coffee mug, and in the coffee mug we have coffee. And then we have another mug, it has tea. And then we have another mug with milk in it. Then we have another mug with beet juice in it. Then we have another mug with almond milk. So we have all these different mugs with different types of liquid in it. Whatever that liquid is, so say somebody triggers you or somebody pushes your button, say you're there, say the analogy is they're bumping into you and you've got your mug of tea, or you're carrying your mug of coffee, or you're carrying your mug of somebody told me the other day that they really like buttermilk. What a blast from the past. Buttermilk, but anyway, it's good in pancakes, but drinking it plain, okay, I digress. So whatever is in your cup, whatever you have in your cup, and life hits you with a quote challenge, that's what's going to spill out. If your cup is filled with trust, surrender, being at peace with uncertainty, and all of these are practices, uh, practicing letting go of resistance. If that's what's in your cup, that's what's going to spill out. If what's in your cup is a lot of program behaviors, which are worrying, complaining, blaming, taking anything personally, fear, needing to be right, lack of personal growth, rushing. How about that rushing one? Rushing, thinking money can buy inner peace or happiness, talking negatively about what someone is doing, aka gossiping. We trying to control anything outside of self. You know how many times I hear people talking or complaining about things that they have zero control over? Absolutely no control over. Who is authoring that conversation? Is that coming from your higher self talking about things that you have no control over? It's all coming from the ego. So the other practice of how to practice remaining in the present moment is, drum roll please, drum roll, is oh my goodness. Wait, hold on a second. What is it? Oh no, I forgot what it is. Oh my God. Hold on. It's coming to me. Hold on. Okay, the practice of the moment, living in the, oh, my whole train of thought just left. Practice of the moment. Thank goodness. Woo, Lord. Is witnessing, stepping outside, and I keep talking about it, stepping outside and witnessing this Rebecca Norrington that is spinning in the wind, spinning with the endless stories, spinning with the endless thoughts, just spinning and spinning and spinning. I call it sometimes as being in a coma, not even being aware that I am just consumed with the stories in the head, in the mind, the stories. And when that is happening, being consumed, there is a point, it's just like having a rubber band on your wrist and snapping it. There is a point where snap the rubber band and snap out of it. And that's snapping the rubber band and snapping out of it and starting to name things. For instance, I'm looking right now: shutters, camera, plant, mirror, bottle of water, cup, candle, round ball. That's one of those exercise balls, you know, those ones that you stretch all the way back on. Rug, pen, papers, keyboard, microphone. So that is a practice. And when I'm in those, when I'm practicing labeling, scratch the labeling, naming what I see in the present moment, guess where I'm not? I'm not in my head. I'm not consumed with the thoughts. The present moment, the practice to remain in the present moment is it is, when I say endless, I could snap the rubber band. I can go back into the present moment, probably, I don't know, 10 times in 1 minute, 10 times in 30 seconds. The practice to stay in the present moment is relentless. It is it is the most challenging practice. However, what I do know and what you know is whatever you practice gets easier, gets easier, gets easier, and the practice becomes your, I'm going to say, new identities. New identity. Your practice becomes your identity, who you identify with. Do you identify with yesterday, past, future, or are you identifying with the presence in the moment? Again, 30 times in 30 seconds. And that's the commitment. Again, that is the commitment. How much do you value? How much do you value contentment? How much do you value having an energy of peace? How much do you value being okay with uncertainty? How much do you value trusting? The ego doesn't want you to value any of those things. The ego wants you to remain in its club, in its club. And part of, and the membership fee is to stay asleep, stay asleep, remain asleep, and not wake up to the truth of who you are. Anyone want to speak with me on Noom Vibe? Come on, come on. Don't be afraid. Come on. Wrapping up, and in fact, sharing how you stay or live in the present moment. I'm not the only one with answers. I've been studying this for 45 years, but there are must be tons of different answers of how, and different practices and ways how people stay in the present moment. I've heard, I'm always grateful. Yeah, I'm grateful, but that wears off after a while. I mean, how however, when I say it wears off, I don't mean that. Let me be very clear. The ego purposely distracts to, well, let's not, yeah, you're grateful. Next. Gratitude is a practice that can be practiced endlessly. And the same thing with observing and witnessing. Endless. Okay, well, let's see. Let me just go over some of my notes just to make sure I covered everything. When I say reacting, I know that if I'm instantly, okay, let me give you another button or trigger. One of the things that one of the questions that just bothers my ego, and knowing the difference bothers my ego, does not bother my presence, is the question of which all customer service people are required to ask. They're required to ask 3 questions now. 3. It used to not be like this. It used to be just people would call and have a conversation, and then you get a solution, and that's it. But now there's 3 questions. The first one, how are you doing? And then, or the other one is, how is your day going? And then the last one is there anything else I can do for you? So that how is your day going is a question that my ego just gets bothered by all the time. And the story behind it, and it's very logical. And see, that's another thing. The ego will come up with a logical explanation, justification for that makes sense. Beware of all justifications spearheaded by the ego. Know that the ego is the leader of finding a justification and making sure that justification makes a lot of sense to me. And so the justification of being bothered by that question is, which is all still coming from the ego. You got it? All of it's still coming from my ego is, well, it's just a mindless question that how's your day going? And even the question is the question is asked at 8 o'clock in the morning. I've had that question asked at 7 a.m., 8 a.m. How's your day going? Oh, that bothers my ego to no end. But when I am, scratch that, when consciousness, when my higher self is flowing, the question doesn't bother, doesn't annoy, doesn't trigger, doesn't push a button. But it's knowing the difference. It's still the same question. Why is the same question coming up with different, why do I have different reactions to the same question? And sometimes it's yeah, my day's going great. Or why are you asking that question? It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Or I hate that question. Why don't you come up with an original question? Original, not a program question. You see, it's the awareness, and all of the awareness, my dear audience, is the work. The awareness is the work. And that's all I'm sharing here. How aware are you that you are in the present moment? How aware are you that you're living in the present moment? Or are you even aware of it? Or are you just bumping into back and forth, present moment, not present moment, sometimes not. The seriousness, scratch that, the seriousness, the value that you place on living in the present moment is all on you. Some people value it, some people don't. And I have to accept it. That's my practice. Okay, well, summing it all up, the ego, you wouldn't be triggered, you wouldn't have your buttons pushed, you wouldn't be bothered, you wouldn't be annoyed if you lived in the present moment. If you truly lived in the present moment, and if you value being at peace, having an energy of contentment, feeling happy, feeling light, if you value that, then the next logical step is to practicing living more often in the present moment. Correct? Again, Program for Unhappiness is out now on Amazon. I'm going to be doing a live publicity push in September. I will be interviewed 4 Saturdays. I think it's at 5 o'clock Pacific time in September about the book. I'm holding it up right now. Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. This is series 1 of 5. You can find it on Amazon, on Lulu, Barnes and Noble. And unless someone wants to come to the stage, this is the end of the show. Let me check and see if anyone's in the queue. Okay, nope, not in the queue. I had a few people in the queue. Sometimes people, who knows? And again, people show up, bounce in, bounce out. It's nothing to do with, I'm not taking any bounces out personally. I can have one listener or I can have 0 listeners. I shared the story years ago, maybe about 15 years ago, when I started this online podcast, this audio podcast on Blog Talk Radio. There are statistics where you can see how many people listen. And I just remember there were 0 people listening for the longest time. And then 1 person listened, and then 2 people listened, and then back to 0 people listening, and 3 people, and then back to 0. And I just said, the universe, again, this was over 15 years ago. I said, universe, nobody's listening. And that's another program behavior that subtracts from happiness, which is paying attention to numbers. I don't care what kind of number it is, from money to likes to followers. Paying attention to numbers subtracts from your happiness. And in fact, before I end the show today, somebody asked me to do this, and I did yesterday. This is a excerpt from the book Program for Unhappiness, and the chapter is called, here we go, this is a chapter 6. It's called I'm Offended, so what are you going to do about it? I'm offended, so what are you, underline you, going to do about it? And it starts off, you will need a seatbelt for this chapter. Getting or being offended is a deep-seated program used to manipulate and control others. When you change your behavior, your is underlined. When you change your behavior, you will never be offended again. Think about it. Who's more powerful? The person who cannot be offended, or the person who is often offended by words, behavior, people, symbols, signs, flags, statues? Who's more powerful? That's from the book, Program for Unhappiness. Okay, and with that, I'm going to end today's show. But remember, the practice of living in the present moment, valuing that practice is totally up to you. I'm 68. I'm in the fourth quarter here, and I am asking the universe for as many times living in the present moment as possible. Just gift me with that. How to live in the present moment as often as possible, and how to observe and let go of the ego, its stories, and its thoughts, and not identify with it. Well, that's the end of today's show. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality Radio is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And my website, RebeccaNorrington.com. You can follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington. LinkedIn, my Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. My YouTube channel, yes, gaining subscribers. Like and subscribe, or not. My YouTube channel is a work in progress, and there's a lot of different videos that I'm adding to the channel. Things happen when it's time. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. That was published in 2014. And the book that's out now, it's called Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. I'm holding it up on YouTube. I love this cover. Exposing the Untold Truth. And it's on Amazon, Lulu, and Barnes & Noble. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. Your conscious energy, which is having a human experience. You're always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend by accepting exactly who you are, where you are, and whatever you are experiencing in this moment. Acceptance of that, and knowing that whatever is happening is there for a reason, is there for you to grow, to expand your consciousness, for more awareness. There is a reason. Life takes care of life. There's little or nothing you have to do, only what you're inspired to do. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, global happiness specialist Rebecca L. Norrington. That's the name. That's the identity. That's the human identity. Remember, happiness is a practice skill. And I promise you, the more you practice, the more peace you're going to find. And the more you practice, whatever you're practicing is what you are going to experience. Have a conscious week. Thank you for listening. Click this, click that.
You got a question for RLN?